life once. My sister went to Hawaii for her honeymoon. She brought me back a shark tooth necklace, and I went through his line at the cafeteria. He was like, "Is that a real shark tooth?" I was like,
That's John. That's what we call him, Beaker.
He was like,
"You guys going to class early?"
"I have shark tattoos all over my body." I was like,
Too much information.
"All right, bud." He's like, "Name your price. I'll buy it off of you." $300.
I'll trade you my nair gun. Okay.
All right, guys, we are gonna get started here, on chapter 14. Before we go into chapter 14, I wanna revisit, the whole group presentations. I had an email from a student Monday night. I think we've been through enough that it shouldn't be confusing what we're trying to do. It's just a case of getting it done and pushing the presentation, and obviously getting coordinated with your teammates has been a little bit of a challenge. But beyond that, are there any questions for you guys about, what you're trying to do? Should I include this? Anything like that? It's just a case of getting it done at this point, isn't it? Donnie?
I was texting Frank his phone number.
Okay. So, can I get a little feedback here, bro?
Me?
Yeah,
I
You have any thought about it yet?
I haven't looked much into it.
okay,
Me and Frank, we've decided on what we were gonna
okay,
do it over.
okay. So there's no confusion, I guess, what I'm trying to get at. Cause if there is, email me. I don't want you trying to attack a project if there's confusion, and I know it's been a challenge with getting on teammates' schedules and everybody not being here when they're supposed to be here, and, and I've been lax with this class. I mean, you guys have me in some other classes, I've been lax with this, class because of the whole hybrid nature, and it's our first time doing it, and I didn't want to add extra work to make it even tougher to be on the same page. So I've tried to make this somewhat of an easier class, so basically just email me if you have if there's any confusion on that. But we got to get that going, because basically by next week we need to pick a date to start doing your presentations, because we can't do them on. I don't want to do any on the finals, the actual week of finals. So
When are we doing the outline? Are we presenting like an outline and then we're?
no, but like next week you should be able to have one to present to like just peers, have a peer review of.
Right.
But you don't need to turn one into me or anything.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I did one I sent to the partner,
Yeah,
but he's having a hard time on his end with the technology.
yeah. So then just print that, bring that, and we'll have you. So in your case, it might be 2 weeks, or you might want to do it out of class. Have someone else just look at it. That's all I
Sure.
want to do, is have someone else look at it, because it's going to do things. It's going to help them think through yours, but it's going to help them on theirs go, oh, I didn't think of doing that.
Sure.
You know what I mean, and vice versa. It's just going to help, get you guys all going.
Frank, he wanted to do that TED Talk, and I told him what you talked to me about it, and
Yeah.
he was a little confused at first, cause he thought that you said that we could do it, and I told him that it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, it's really risky, because they were just talking about kind of using a TED Talk as a launching pad into their presentation. And it's just really risky because, one, the TED Talk people are pretty good, and there's not a lot of fat in their presentation. And so now all of a sudden you run the risk of them making your presentation for you, and that's not good. If you could edit it way down and maybe have a 30-second blip or a minute blip that you hit maybe 2 or 3 times throughout your presentation, that might be one thing. But my fear would be is you'd hit play and we'd be sitting watching them for 5 minutes, and then you'd step in and go blah, 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 and we're done, They kind of steal your thunder almost, so be careful with that. Okay, anything else on those presentations?
So it is me, Frank, and.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I will get, hopefully today before I leave, I'll get 15 and 16s Learn Smart opened up and the quizzes opened up. Because it's 2 chapters, I may do a discussion board on there too. I just haven't decided. So there might be that. When we've done one of those way in the back, but we haven't done one recently. So maybe that may be out there as well. Okay.
No, on the discussion boards, there's never a lot of people that do it.
At the same time,
Yeah, so
it's tough to
usually,
get replies on.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's why I didn't do a ton of them, because I didn't go that well. But I'm trying to get you guys some additional points, to that you can get kind of.
Oh, yeah, open them up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and if I don't get that done, I'll probably at least do some sort of like extra credit, send me an evaluation of the class and what you liked and didn't like, and we'll try to do something like that too, just to grab you some points
Do we
there.
have to do an evaluation anyway?
What's that?
Don't we have to do
Well, you do one for the school,
that?
which like is the one that goes like in my records and my bosses get to see and all that. This would be more just for me, like either my presenting style or, you know, the things you liked or didn't like about the hybrid model, you know, how we could tweak that to make it better, you know, those sort of things. Cause then I can actually work on getting that stuff done. I need to change my settings on this, but hopefully if we're going here, it should work back up. Okay, then let's just jump into 14 here and we'll get going a little bit and we'll take a break. Does everybody have computers? You guys have your computers with you?
Do not.
Okay.
Then we better get one.
Yeah, I think you should, because we'll do a little Learn Smart Hearing class, so you probably should have a computer with you. Since you aren't important, we're just gonna start without you though.
Alright.
Don't prioritize this.
I'll be back in about half an hour.
That was called on film too, now it's on my permanent record, and it's being streamed live to YouTube, so everyone knows I don't like Taylor, correct? Alright, so this should be, this chapter is kind of just digging in a little deeper into the whole marketing mix, the whole 4 Ps. I don't know if you ever looked into the Reed Hastings story, but he's the guy that was the founder of Netflix. Pretty cool story. I didn't know, I started listening recently to a podcast by Mike Rowe, you know, the guy from Dirty Jobs, and it's called The Way I Heard It. It's kind of a little bit like a Paul Harvey sort of thing, where he kind of tells you the story and you don't really know the twist until the end sort of thing. I didn't realize that Reed Hastings, very early on, well before he was making any money, well before he was even successful, was trying to sell his idea to Blockbuster. And Blockbuster wouldn't do it. And by the time they were ready to do it, it was already successful and he didn't need Blockbuster, and Blockbuster, you know, goes out of business. So I found that another interesting. I've always been very interested in that whole dynamic, you know, between Blockbuster and Netflix, and how Blockbuster had to be asleep at the wheel sort of thing, you know, to allow somebody that small to come up and pass them. Not just Netflix, but they were off the radar of Redbox too. I mean, both those methodologies snuck up on Blockbuster. Like, how did they sneak up on you? Like,
I went
come
to a
on.
family video on Saturday.
What's it? Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
What's that?
Family video, just go inside and like actually rent a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now that feels way more inconvenient than, oh, it's out, but I want it's out. I mean,
Yeah.
they did have to kind of fall asleep or really underestimate that.
Yeah, and I have some respect for Family Video, because they've kind of held on, probably cost cut, try to thin things out, be as cheap as we can be to hang in there, because they know that some people still want to rent movies, you know? So I think, yeah, pretty cool. So the combination of the price, product placement, and promotion, that whole combination is brought together to try to create value for the business. Because if there isn't value, then you're not gonna buy it. I think sometimes we hear the word value though, and we think like cheap. And that's not what they mean by value in a business sense. Value can be still very, very expensive. So is there something that somebody bought that maybe is expensive, but you still felt like, yeah, it's a really good value? Especially you start thinking about anything that's gonna last a long time. You're like, yeah, it's expensive, but that's still a good value for me because it's not gonna break or it's gonna stick around, you know, that sort of thing. So the thing that's tricky about value is it's 100% decided individually by the person making the purchase, right? So as a customer, as a business, we're trying to create value, show you that we have value, but ultimately you're the one that decides whether we did that or not, and whether you perceive it as a good value or not. I like to use the McDonald's hamburger, and you know, so easy to criticize, you know, McDonald's hamburgers. Is there any actually even beef in there? You know, blah 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 blah. It's not near as good as a Red Robin hamburger or a Five Guys hamburger, you know, whatever, right? But I argue when I go there and I get a you know, whatever, a McDouble for $1.27, that's pretty good value for me. You know, it was hot. You know, usually it's assembled properly. Sometimes it's not, but you know, and especially if I get through there quickly, I'm like, okay, that was pretty good value. You know, so it's all relative to what the customer believes. The other challenge is we as consumers are very fickle. We change our minds a lot. So now all of a sudden I've created value in this marketplace, and yet you guys kind of want it like this. Like, oh man, so I gotta be changing with my customer base. It can be very, like, I couldn't imagine trying to be like in the fashion industry. You know what I mean? Where people are like, well, pink is in. Like, what? When did somebody decide pink was back in? You know, I didn't know that. You know, I made everything purple, you know, and so just those sort of changes can be very, very difficult. Any of these, well, probably a bunch of us, I don't have cable. Anybody have cable? They're struggling, brother. You know, again, the Hulus and the Netflix, and I heard Dan Patrick went to BR Live. I've not checked out BR Live. Has anybody been on it yet? You know, it's a, you know, that's Bleacher Report, which, you know, they've been doing all the sports stuff, but they got their own channel now, BR
I
Live.
just follow them on Instagram.
Yeah. So I can do without cable. I can do without the haircuts. I cut my own hair. Shocking, isn't it?
You cut your own hair?
Oh yeah, bro.
Uh-huh.
You want me to tell you a story how I cut my own hair?
I did that once, I can tell you a story too.
All right, I'll tell mine first.
You ever heard?
So I had an intern working for me at my business, and he had kind of pretty cool little fade. You know, it wasn't super complex, but you know, and I've rocked a flat top before, so I've never been afraid of short hair. But my hair was fairly long at the time, so he's gonna make me this little box. You know, this is probably 15 years ago. He's gonna do it after work. So he brings his clippers in, and we're like sitting in the bathroom after work, and he's like, oh man, I messed that up. I'm like, what? He's like, I thought I could do this, but I could, you know. So he basically ends up just shaving my head like this, right? And I get out and I'm like, I could have done this, right? And so then later on I'm like, man, think how much money I'll save. I can just cut my own hair, you know? So I just started cutting my own hair for the last 15 years. So.
That's what I was thinking too, mine just didn't turn out good.
Mine don't turn out good. I just lucky got somewhat of a round head, and really, I mean, I'm not much to look at anyway. So what's my hair really going to get accomplished? You know what I mean? So I can do without haircuts. I got to have internet or I mean, I gotta have a smartphone. Like, you guys ever think about, like, you know, if you get stranded on the island, sort of thing, what you need to have with you? Like, I need to have. It just gives you so much access, and it's so light. Now obviously I have to be able to charge it, I get, but you know. So any of these you guys wouldn't do without?
I would definitely do without. I already do without fast food.
Yeah.
I try not to eat it at all.
I do that
In a second.
at least once a day. I eat fast food.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yes.
It's tough. So I started trying to do I've been doing like this low carb diet, and I've been going to Jimmy John's and getting the like Unwich or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, but I agree with you. I guess I'm on a pretty good run now that you mentioned it, Donnie. I haven't been going much at all. What about coffee? You guys do without your coffee or no?
I only drink coffee Monday and Wednesday. That's when I go to
depends.
class.
I usually drink coffee every day, but if I stop for a while, then I don't get the craving for it.
Yeah.
I quit drinking it.
Yeah, you're a high caffeine guy, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quit drinking coffee.
Yeah, I didn't start drinking coffee because I'm like, why, like, it's just gonna cost me a bunch of money. Same way, I never smoked cigarettes for the same reason.
Caffeine and nicotine kind of get me through the day factory.
Yeah, so I'm caffeine free, so like, you know, I don't drink any caffeine, but that's like, if I literally just drink one of those, heck, if I eat some dark chocolate, I'll get a little, all right, here we go. You know what I mean?
Dark chocolate.
What's that?
I love dark chocolate.
Oh, yeah, it gets you pumped up. And then obviously there's other things that, you know, other people might, these might be half-truths for some people, and for a lot of people though, they're like, you know, I can get rid of that. Like, I'd love to be able to get a massage all the time, but it's like, I can't afford that, so.
I got one before.
What?
I said I've got one before.
I go to the Chinese massage place.
Oh, yeah.
You guys been there, $25? You ever been there?
One of the massages is
Hot,
empty.
medium, or soft.
Oh yeah, it's called like foot, in India it's called foot finesse, or it's
There's one.
a foot place.
I
But-
go to one in Kokomo every once in a while.
Well, now that might be a little different type of one. That might be more of a happy ending type of one.
Maybe.
This one is like,
$25?
you leave you're supposed to leave your, no, he's talking about something different, I'm pretty sure. Mine is you're not in your own private room. It's like, you know, it's still quiet, but you're supposed to leave like your shorts on and like your t-shirt on. But I go in there, man, I strip off the t-shirt, you know, and then they spend a lot of time on your feet. It's a foot place, but they basically end up doing like a full body massage for $25.
That's
Full
pretty
hour.
good.
Oh, hell yes.
I went to Massage Envy and it was $90 for an hour.
Yeah.
And it was not, I could've went to the mall,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That's why I started going to these guys, because, I mean, they're not great, and of course, they don't speak much English. You're like,
Okay.
you know, and then, you know, you can ask for like a male or a female, and, you know, so I always ask for a female, but, you know, and then the best with them, that, so some of them, cause, you know, they gotta do a lot more work, cause you know, I peel the shirt off, you know? So, and they get all done, and they'll go, "Ooh, you a big guy." I'm like, I'm waiting for me to walk in. I'm waiting for me to walk in, and they're gonna have like SUV prices. You know, they're like, everyone else pays this, but you, Mr. Oaks, you pay that.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I'm gonna get one this weekend now. I think about it. All right, so total product offer. Again, it's not just the you know, when you start creating a product, you think of form and also functionality, right? So does it, you know, feel the way I want it to feel, and does it operate the way I want it to operate? We need to consider both of those things. So when you start to think about the 4 Ps together and this whole product offer, I want to come back to this slide. I want to get a little deeper into the 4 Ps and come back, because there's some good components on here. So let's stay more specifically on your product and your product line. You need to understand the difference between the product line and your product mix. Product line are products that are similar in nature and kind of serve the same market. So I always think of, I mean, they're using sodas here, but I always think of detergents. Like, you know, Tide's got a million different kinds of Tide, and then Procter & Gamble, who owns Tide, you know, they've got All and Cheer and several others, right? So those are all different product lines, okay? And then a product mix, though, then is multiple product lines. So again, Procter & Gamble, they've got all the detergents, but they're doing these other things too, you know, cosmetics and, you know, toothpaste. Anybody loyal to a toothpaste? Anybody buy the exact same toothpaste every time?
I'm pretty brand loyal with a lot of stuff.
What are the toothpaste you guys use?
Crest,
Original?
80 Crest.
Oh, that's not tight enough. You gotta tighten that down, man.
As long as it's Crest.
Golly, you're just a floozy. You're like a Crest whore.
Dude,
I
you
am.
go,
That's why I like massages.
What about you? What
I do Crest.
regular paste or all the weird stuff
Or
with the
the
peroxide?
peroxide.
And
It's the, I don't know, it's red, in the container.
so you're not loyal either. Donnie?
Sensodyne.
Sensodyne, all right. Stay with it every time. They only have one type, I assume, right?
No, they have a couple, but I stick with the, I think it's just white.
Yeah.
Whitening.
My name is a Colgate, has to have peroxide in it. I am Crest, but I am the original regular paste guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I like it. Product differentiation becomes really important, and this is sometimes you also hear this called product positioning, meaning I gotta try to help my consumer at least perceive a difference between my product and my competition's. And so I don't know if have you guys heard any of the latest Body Armor commercials? My ex-wife works for Body Armor, so my kids are crushing Body Armor all the time now. But have you heard them try how they're positioned off of Gatorade slightly? You know, they're kind of saying, hey, like one of the ads was like, you know, we have more natural stuff in ours, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks, Gatorade, we'll take it from here, sort of thing. Kind of their punchline, you know. And it's a pretty cool marketing strategy, because obviously great Gatorade is the 800-pound gorilla in that marketplace. And what Body Armor is really saying is all we really need to do is be somewhat similar to Gatorade and get a few people to try us. You know, and now so we're better than Powerade or whatever, and now we're second or third in this giant sports drink marketplace just by getting people to connect the dots between us, and yet now we're saying we're a little different, you know.
They're signing just like athletes.
Yeah.
Like I saw the one with Andrew Luck and
Mhm.
Carr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're kind of following all those same steps, but then now they're getting to a spot where they're trying to position slightly different than Gatorade, as you know, maybe have more natural juices in it or whatever. So, packaging, my brain jumps to anybody use the squeezable sour cream? That's the best packaging invention that we've had in a long time. You guys haven't seen it?
I've done the squeezable mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's okay.
We talked about that in the Bible class.
It's-
I
you
don't
still-
like
you-
sour cream.
I don't like any,
I don't eat sour.
no
Oh,
way, any white condiment.
it is the best packaging invention in quite some time. What's some other good packaging inventions? Where you're like, I'll
Capri
use that product now because it is packaged differently.
I like Capri Suns, cause it's got the little
Okay,
straw right there.
you like the little straw?
Yes, and I like the squeezable.
You know you're on camera, right?
Yes, you can face it toward me.
Dude, those Gatorades with the little twisty lids.
Well,
Yeah.
so you can reseal them back up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like those. I can't get enough of that. Like, I'm a gulper. I need to be able to pound that thing.
You're pretty good at it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I just squirted it in my mouth. I don't expect that.
Oh man, I gotta, yes, I think it can come out fast enough. All right, so packaging obviously becomes important. Sometimes it's enough to get people to try your product. At a minimum, you gotta obviously tell them about your product. You gotta keep your product safe from a theft standpoint or from ingredient spoiling, so packaging can do a lot. Let's see if we skip to here. So we're attracting, easy to open, oh my goodness, you guys don't have kids yet, but wait till you start having kids, and then you Christmas morning, man, you open these packages up, and your kid's amped, man, he's like, oh yeah, we'll play with that, you know? And the thing's strapped down with like 9 different mechanisms that you have to have some wire cutters to get them out of there, you know? So, easy to open. Yeah, warranty we didn't touch on, but pretty much these others we've touched on. What's bundling?
Putting a bunch of stuff together in one.
Yeah,
It's like the,
towards what end? Why do marketers wanna bundle stuff?
just more bang for your buck.
Okay, so they're wanting to tell the customer they're getting a better value, right? So a lot of times in a bundling situation, a customer is paying less than if they bought every one of those things individually, right? So they get a perception that they're getting a better value.
Like the big old boxes of cereal that have like
Mm-hmm.
2 different bags or 2
Yeah.
different kinds.
Yeah. What are some other benefits of bundling if you're on the business side?
That your whole service was their brand.
Okay, yeah, so you're building a lot of loyalty, right? If they can, so you think about like, it happens a lot with like, you know, all your TV providers, right? They want you to get the TV from them, your phone from them,
Internet.
you know, internet, everything, right? The other reason that a lot of times people will bundle stuff is they wanna get you to try something. So think if I come out with a brand new headset and I wanna get people to try my headset. And I might go cut a deal with, you know, AT&T and say, hey, look, when you sell a phone, bundle my headset with it if they're willing to pay blah, 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 which is still less than them buying the headset from me. But really what I'm trying to do is get some of them out there and get people using them, get them talking about it. Okay. Brand, anybody into, you said you're pretty brand loyal to some things. What are some others that you're,
Watches,
so what,
some brands that want like Citizens or Burberry.
okay,
Clothes, I like H&M.
okay,
Budweiser.
okay. A full body Bud, the Diesel, or the brand, any Budweiser product,
Any Budweiser.
okay? What you, Donnie, you,
For
what
another
brand?
year, right?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm assuming I'll be into when I turn 21.
Yeah. I'm a BlackBerry guy, so my BlackBerry's, you know, really struggling, and everybody's like, just switch. So I have this old iPhone, it's in my pocket or something that everyone wants me to switch to, and I'm like, yeah. And so I was actually having a text conversation with my oldest son, his iPhone's broken. And I'm like, you know, he's like, Dad, man, I'm like, about loyalty, and he's like, there's loyalty, and there's also just kind of going down with the ship. And I'm like, listen, isn't that when loyalty is really tested? We can all be loyal when things are great. I said, loyalty is all about when it's tough. So I'm really having a tough time. So I've had this, I basically need to switch for about a year, and I can't bring myself to do it yet. It's imminent though. What other brands anybody loyal to? Anybody a car brand loyal to? Ford. We raised that way.
Mhm.
A lot of times that's the way it works. Our family, my dad was a General Motors guy, so we were always loyal to General Motors. My neighbor was a Pepsi guy, so we're always Pepsi products instead of Coke.
Coke.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I drink any soda now, I drink caffeine-free Diet Coke, and I used to be a caffeine-free Diet Pepsi person. For whatever reason, my palate changed, and, you know, so. We understand what a trademark is, right? Just kind of a legal protection of your image. So it's a little bit of a process to go through and get that done, but if you're gonna have any sort of symbol or logo, you're gonna wanna trademark it. A lot of times, so I've started numerous businesses, and a lot of times you can get the trademark, but you can't get the domain. So a lot of times the way I start with business names is to see what kind of domain I can even get. Cause the domain, especially in the .com, if you're not willing to go to like, you know, .co or you know, whatever biz or a bunch of those, but if you wanna stay with .com, most of those domain names are taken. And so I usually start there and then work from there into, can I get it at the state of Indiana? Can I get it at the federal level? Is there any trademarks I gotta worry about? Can I go that direction? But that's kind of how you can go about protecting your name. Blackberry baby, see it's in there. There he is. Hanging in there. So what's when we talk about brand equity, and we've talked about equity before, what is equity? If I have equity in something, I have what?
Time.
No? Equity. Are you thinking like sweat equity? You hear sweat equity, you hear, you know, investors use equity all the time. There's equity in the business, you'll hear them say. Brand equity. When you hear the term equity, just think of something of value. Okay, so usually equity refers to some sort of cash value situation. Meaning, if I have equity in your business, I could sell that equity for cash because it's of value. Okay, if I put sweat equity into my home, okay, if I put sweat, it's like I'm gonna work, instead of you paying for me, you're gonna reduce the price of my home because I worked in it, I painted it, or I did whatever, okay? So brand equity is saying, there are brands out there that are strong enough that have value just in their name itself. Would you agree with that? So if we closed, let's take one of these companies on this other side here, pick any of those. If you close down all operations, okay, we close down the whole business in 24 hours. And no one can go back in that business and do that business again, but you could take that brand and you can go do a different business. Would someone buy that brand? That's the brand equity, right? Because you're saying, look, if I'm gonna go start up XYZ, you know, wireless security, I can call it XYZ wireless security, or I can start with Google. I'm gonna go with Google, and I'm willing to pay X to get that brand. That's the brand equity, okay? Anybody dislike some of these brands? I don't know, Louis Vuitton, I know it's like a clothes or purses or something, isn't it? Fashion.
Yes.
So what, do anybody find it interesting that Apple is that much more than these others?
Yeah.
I find that interesting too. Why do you think that is? What are some theories you might have there? Come back to this side. The extreme loyalty, right? It's one thing to be like supportive of a brand and maybe even brag on a brand, but when you have some warriors, you know, some real people who are pimps for your brand, and you got a bunch of them, and they're willing to wait in line for your latest release, even though it's overpriced, etc. That's loyalty, right? So that's why Apple's, I'm pretty sure, is that high. Brand awareness can be tricky because you don't want to spend a bunch of money on brand awareness if no one knows what your product or service is. So we can get a little, like I was teaching at UIndy and teaching a marketing class, and I'm like, hey, who in here, there's like 30 people in there, hey, who in here wants to sell? Like, is just willing to sell? Like 2 dudes raise their hand. Like, what do the rest of you guys want to do? Be like brand managers? Yeah. Like, you realize there's like 4 of those jobs. And there's 30 of you sitting here. You know, so be careful, because yes, you want to develop your brand, but a lot of times from a business standpoint, I need to sell my product or service first. I need to tell them what it does, how it's good, and then have some success in the marketplace. It's like you can't get the cart before the horse, right? And I think a lot of new companies try to get out there and sell their brand. Anybody follow the whole AAF, the Spring Football League at all? Yeah, so they literally just went out of business yesterday. Supposed to play 12 games, they played 8 games. And I would argue they were too much into the brand and getting it done, rather than having the actual business perform, pay the players, you know, get them on the field, get them home from the field, you know, all those sort of functionality things. They were not focused on it enough, and that's very common. Because you know, branding is cool. I get it. It's like, you know, all right, sweet. I want to have a real powerful brand. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow like the Ball brothers, but they play basketball. You know, he's just suing his co-founder for, you know, big baller brands or whatever. I'm like, oh, jeez, why don't you go? You ain't even good on the court. Why don't you go get good? You know, so I get frustrated with people who kind of get the cart before the horse. Symbols. I think the Mercedes symbol is pretty strong. You know, you think of symbols. I'm trying to think of any other symbols that. AT&T's is pretty strong. Pepsi's, Coke with the ribbon, you know, they're basically just images that, instead of saying words, they're images, because our brains are able to absorb images differently than words.
Coast has been the same forever.
Yeah, yeah. So brand managers already made fun of or touched on this. Cool job, but there's not a bunch of them out there. Think how valuable your brand has to be before now you have a full-time department trying to take care of your brand. You know, we're hired a lot more sales reps before we're hiring a brand manager. Almost hard to be loyal to American brands. It's like everything's getting so confusing on what's outsourced and what's insourced, and you know, all those sorts of things. Even beer, you know, like I said, I think Sam Adams, I think, is still local. I think Yingling might be still too. And obviously the whole craft beer push is, you know, now made in America, but most of your big time beers are foreign owned. Okay, let's go back to this slide real quick that I want to touch on, where it's kind of talking about positioning yourself and creating a full product value. And then we'll take a quick break here. There it is. So I don't know if you guys can see that. In essence, it's talking about, hey, this is our sweet spot, right? Where we're like the best of everything in the whole world. Well, clearly we can't. I mean, we shoot for that, but you know, we don't ever get there. But all these other things are going into your purchase. So you like H&M, you said, and how much is the store set up? What are some of these things that you like that help draw you back to, you know, your past experiences, you know, different things that draw you back to H&M?
Right, price be number one.
Okay, so are they pretty for like fashion clothes? They're more on the discounted side. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know that
They
brand.
change inventory weekly.
Okay, so
So
fresh,
it's inexpensive and it's refreshed often.
Okay. How about service? Anybody? Is there anybody at a restaurant or a bar they go to that, because it's, you know, they always take care of you and, you know, friendly service? You know, I can.
Chipotle.
Okay. Is it a particular one or most of the Chipotles?
Most of the ones I've been to have been
Okay.
same service.
I'm a Qdoba guy, so we might have to
Oh,
fight.
okay. That's all right.
You know what I mean?
You know who the real winner is.
Chipotle cannot be a winner because at least the last time I was there, which was been quite some time ago, they didn't even sell chips and salsa.
Yeah.
How can you be a Mexican restaurant and not sell chips and salsa?
They do now.
They do now?
Yeah.
Okay.
They ain't got queso.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, they didn't have queso back then either. I'm like, what is going on?
See, I
More of a Moe's
can
guy.
go to the.
I like Moe's.
I like those too. I can go to the Chipotle on campus, and I'll walk in, and it'll be a madhouse.
It is always busy.
But I could walk over to the Qdoba and get my food, and the line won't even move at Chipotle.
Yeah. I love that. So someone put out on their Facebook, they're like, you know, I go to Chick-fil-A on a Friday afternoon and it's 17 cars deep and I'm out with great service and, you know, it was my pleasure in like 2 minutes. And I go to McDonald's and there's 4 cars deep and I'm slammed and can't get through there, you know? Yeah, it's,
And Chick-fil-A, they're doing something right.
oh yeah, they got it figured out. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, just all these, there's just a lot of moving parts here, right? To get you brought in and get you to consider buying someone's product versus someone else's. Again, brand, we have talked about it. I think I'm a big service guy. I get so tickled when you go into some place and they just knock the ball out of the park. Cause like, it's hard to exceed your expectations, and I think it's, you know, I think it's a little bit of a thankless job too. Like, I'm thinking of like being a bar server or a food server or any of that, man. It's like you're expected for them to be awesome. So anything off of awesome is like, you're frustrated. I don't know, it's a tough job, I think.
Sometimes it comes off as fake, but
I think I'd even take the fake.
the people that seem genuine about it is really when it like.
Yeah,
hits
yeah,
good.
oh, for sure, yeah. But I think I'd still take fake service over, so like,
Yeah.
have you guys ever noticed going to Mike's Car Wash, how the guy's always smiling? That's fake. The guy, he's not smiling randomly when my car rolls up to his deal, right? But I still like it. He's standing there going,
Neutral, please.
with a smile on his face. I love it.
Like Amazon does a great job at a lot of those things.
And the obviously the speed, and then I think of them from a service. They're you know, I've had one thing didn't come when it was supposed to. They're like, just keep it. You know, we'll refund your money. You know, so those are pretty nice steps. All right, cool. We'll take a quick break here. Then we'll come back and probably do a little learn smart stuff.